Similarly to anaerobic events, aerobic events like a marathon can also be improved through specific training, as it allows them to work for longer because they are able to work at the same rate using less energy. These improvements can be seen through multiple tests that show how results vary from no training to regular training. VO2 max, for instance, increases after training, and therefore the body becomes more effective using oxygen, suggesting why running becomes easier. In addition to the improvements the athletes will gain in their given sports, as long as the training is correct, the athlete may become more suited to fight off diseases as their body becomes stronger. The cardiovascular system has a number of aerobic changes that can be shown through graphs and tests that allow the body to improve and become more effective during exercise. The first change we can look at is the heart, because it is a muscle. It becomes stronger with training as it undergoes cardiac hypertrophy, making the walls thicker, allowing stroke volume to increase, meaning a higher volume of blood can be pumped out the heart. Subsequently, as cardiac output is calculated through stroke volume times heart rate can be lowered while the cardiac output remains the same because stroke volume has increased. This means the athlete can perform the same task using less energy as less contractions of the heart are needed, due to it becoming more efficient, while oxygen is still transported to the muscles. This is evidenced in the table, which shows the average values against the values of an athlete in red, and can also be shown in the heart rate chart, as it shows how the multi-stage fitness test is completed at the same intensity using a lower heart rate after training. Furthermore, due to the heart rate lowering, the heart rate range also increases, which means the overall peak cardiac output is raised, as the heart rate can be increased by a larger amount to the max heart rate, 220 minus your age. In addition, after training, the body also gains more capillaries, which develop while the previous capillaries become bigger, allowing more blood to travel through them, meaning more oxygen can reach the muscles, as more can now diffuse in, and carbon dioxide can diffuse out. Along with heart rate, blood pressure is also reduced as a result of aerobic training, as the resistance of the blood flow is reduced, because less arterial pressure is needed to help pump the blood around the body. This is partly due to hematocrit being reduced, due to the rise in blood plasma, despite the rise of hemoglobin that is caused through an increased amount of red blood cells due to exercise, causes the blood viscosity to be reduced, and therefore blood can flow with less resistance. The increase in all of this also has an effect on the blood volume, as it becomes larger with the rise of red blood cells and plasma. This can help aid diseases like the cardiovascular disease, which is caused from fatty deposits and blood clots, which would likely be stopped with a lower blood pressure/resistance. Overall, these adaptations would hugely benefit an aerobic-based athlete like a marathon runner, as they will firstly be able to work at a lower heart rate or remaining at the same intensity, which could stop fatigue later in the race. Secondly, have the ability to run faster for longer than previously able to, as their heart rate range has increased. And thirdly, limit fatigue and constantly have energy throughout the whole of the race due to more capillaries, hemoglobin, and a lower blood pressure. They will have an increased constant supply of oxygen throughout the race that can be used to create energy for muscles to contract. This gives them a huge advantage over competitors, as they have improved almost every aspect of the race, and gives the athlete a higher chance of winning. The respiratory system also has many adaptations that occur during aerobic training that allow the athlete to improve their sport. The simplest change that can be found after training is that the body becomes more able to work with a lower volume of oxygen, as the VO2 lowers, suggesting that the body is able to work at the same rate with a lower intake of oxygen. This is important as it creates less of an oxygen deficit, as less oxygen is initially needed, therefore reducing EPOC, meaning an athlete can recover quicker. Similarly to the cardiovascular system, the breathing rate actually lowers due to aerobic training, due to the hypertrophy of the respiratory muscles, such as the intercostal muscles and accessory muscles, causing them to become stronger. This would lead to the values in the breathing rate graph to reach lower, despite the body working at the same rate, as they have become stronger. As they have become stronger, the body is able to take in a higher volume of oxygen, and an increased tidal volume, because the muscles have stronger contractions. As ventilation is calculated through breathing rate times tidal volume, this therefore means breathing rate can be lowered, which means less energy is wasted, as there can be less contractions of the intercostal muscles because the breaths are deeper. This is important for a marathon runner, as they want to limit fatigue and therefore don't want to waste energy on contractions, and this helps conserve it. As the tidal volume increases from training, so does the vital capacity, as the lung volumes increase, allowing for deeper breaths. Finally, alveoli becomes larger, meaning the surface area increases, which allows for a bigger surface for oxygen to diffuse into the capillaries, which is important for a marathon runner, as the muscles need a constant supply of oxygen to exercise aerobically and keep contracting throughout the race. Neuromuscular adaptations also occur aerobically as a result of training, for example in almost the opposite way to anaerobic. The body instead recruits slow oxidative fibres or fast oxidative glycolytic fibres as they fatigue slower and produce contractions at a slower rate, which is fitting for aerobic exercise, and also use aerobic respiration to create ATP. As slow oxidative fibres being used, there is high levels of mitochondria as they are in the slow oxidative fibres, resulting in the body being able to produce ATP at a quicker rate with the energy it provides it with. The mitochondria is also there due to the muscle growth, causing there to be more muscle cells which contain mitochondria. As well as this, myoglobin levels also rise to 80% to support the increased oxidative capacity in the muscle. The myoglobin attaches to the oxygen to act as an oxygen storage site for the body. This is important for a marathon runner as they want to have a high supply of oxygen in order to maintain working aerobically, so that a high level of ATP is produced. There are many energy system aerobic adaptations the body undergoes through training. However, these changes differ completely to the anaerobic adaptations, as a completely different system is used, the aerobic system as opposed to the glycolytic system. As said in the previous slide, mitochondria is key with this system, as it speeds up the production of ATP. However, there are other factors that an athlete also gains and improves with training. For example, one adaptation of the energy systems aerobically is the tolerance of lactic acid. This is due to the body becoming more efficient, supplying oxygen to the muscles, allowing it to continue to use the aerobic system, which does not produce lactic acid as a byproduct, unlike the glycolytic system. However, some lactic acid may be built up from the early stages of exercise due to the body being forced to work anaerobically because of the oxygen deficit, causing the body to fatigue. But training helps counter this as the body becomes better at dealing with the lactic acid and stops it from fatiguing the body to the extent that it did. In addition to this, enzymes needed to break down the glucose are also increased, making it quicker at the beginning of the process, overall meaning that ATP can be produced at a quicker rate, giving the body more energy for contractions in a marathon, which is needed as the leg muscles are constantly contracting in order to maintain running.